What's up, guys, and welcome back to Feathered Crypto. Today we'll be starting a new segment called Blockchain Success, where hopefully we can lift your spirits and educate you a little bit more on how to succeed in your cryptocurrency investing and blockchain ventures. Basically, we'll be bringing on people who have had great success in their cryptocurrency investments and those that have had success in starting their own businesses or maybe even writing a book, such as the guests that we'll be having on today, who are co-authors of the book The Millionaire Millennials, Zach Hoffmeister and John Granofsky. Make sure you look in the details below this video because I will be providing links on how you can purchase their book and how you can visit their personal websites. Now, as you know, I need to remind you that nothing in this video is or should be considered financial advice. Now, with that being said, please enjoy the show. What's up, guys, and welcome to Featherhead Crypto. I'm Featherhead, and I'm here with two successful co-authors and cryptocurrency investors, Zach Hoffmeister and John Granofsky. How you doing, guys?
Pretty good. Thanks for having us, Micah.
Not
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Not a problem. Glad y'all are here. So, firstly, you're on this show hopefully to bring encouragement to those that have had doubt recently in the cryptocurrency market. So let's just state the obvious that you all have been successful in cryptocurrency, and we are here to seek your wisdom on how to do better at what we are currently doing. Hopefully just get some encouragement to keep us here.
It's been brutal out there for sure.
Yeah.
And I think we're all feeling the squeeze, but we're not losing faith. Zach, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I'd say pretty sure John and I convinced a lot of people to jump into crypto towards the end of 2017 and then the beginning of 2018. Needless to say, it's been a pretty bad year this past year for it. So that being said, if you understand the fundamentals and the potential, you wouldn't be afraid to invest in this at all. And so that's something that we're trying to spread out there. It's like this is very profound technology that's changing the way we can do business, and that's why we're investing in it.
Right. So we know you're all successful co-authors and investors, but let's start with the background story here. I guess Zach, since you're already on the screen here, I guess we'll start with you, if you don't mind. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and what you were doing before you heard about cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I was actually doing hobby investing, day trading through Option House, which is now eTrader, buying into a lot of the oil company stocks during the big dip after 2013 and 14. And then I moved into healthcare kind of related stocks and then technology, which led me to Bitcoin itself. In 2015, I went to a Bitcoin conference in Atlanta when I was leaving. I actually found out about it when I was leaving TechCrunch in Atlanta as well. There's about 40 people there. It was put on by developers. Didn't have a good understanding of the technology, but I was able to kind of get familiar with it a little bit and buy at least one Bitcoin at the time. And then I just kept on playing the markets that I was playing before that.
Really? You didn't have any friends poking you in the back saying, "Hey, you got to buy this"?
No, in fact, I was that person. I wasn't completely sold on the technology. Part of it was there was an ATM Bitcoin that we bought, $20 worth of Bitcoin. So my now wife and I could buy lunch, and that's why the food truck was there. But when we actually tried to, they wouldn't accept the Bitcoin itself, the little paper wallet transfer. So we're kind of like disillusioned a little bit. Didn't understand the blockchain technology behind it. Understood it as a decentralized ledger. Didn't really understand all the problems it could solve in the real world. So I bought one. I got on Coinbase. I started my process there. And I just kind of stayed out of that market because it's highly risky. That was the feedback from the analysts. And then, of course, 2017 happened, and that's when I got back into it. And that's when I started poking people again.
And when was this?
I was a pokey.
What's that?
Of Zach's. I was a pokey.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. I was being poked simultaneously. This sounds really suggestive.
Yeah, maybe we should change that.
I was being posted non-sexually by a number of different people simultaneously, a number of different friends that started getting into crypto early 2017. I met Zach when we were both in the same MBA class. We both got our MBAs from Robinson College of Business at Georgia State here in Atlanta. I couldn't help noticing Zach, and we graduated in August of 2017. Early in 2017, I'd look over at Zach, and rather than paying attention to the teacher, he would be on his laptop with a bunch of charts. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? And he introduced me to, he started talking to me about Bitcoin and crypto and kind of the philosophy behind it, digital transfer of wealth, digital cash. And he's the one that kind of got me into it. And I was playing with much, in terms of initial investments, I started creeping into the market slowly. I didn't jump in as quickly as I should have. But as I watched Zach and kind of followed some of his trades and started doing my own research on some of the companies that he was investing in, it was just this whole world kind of opened up. And as you know, like towards the end of 17, it was basically euphoria in the crypto market as it was kind of, starting to be, people all over the world were starting to jump in, and the prices were reflecting that for sure.
Like the golden month, shall we say? I think.
Yeah.
The market kind of doubled at that time in December in 2017. But no, I got back into it, Micah, May of 2017 when I jumped into Litecoin. I was trying to chase value, and it quickly jumped. They announced their plans to eventually roll out Lightning Network at that time. That's when Lee was still in there. And so it quickly jumped about 40% in a week. And so my 5,000 turned into some $8,000. And I was still in college at the time. So I'm telling people about it and everything else. And everybody said, get out, sell right now, get out, get out, get out, don't continue. And that was pretty much the message I received from everybody. It's unsolicited advice to get out and don't ever stay in that kind of market. And so I think John was the only one in the class that actually listened to me for the most part.
What year was that you said that you saw? Because I read about this in the article and I thought it was pretty progressive. Maybe you're like in the New York area, aren't you? Or
Atlanta. Yeah, we're both in Atlanta, Georgia. You know how progressive we are down here.
Yeah, you got the Georgia Gadget towns.
Yeah, right. But no, I'm from the Northwest. I'm actually from Washington State. That's where I grew up.
No, I was going to say it's 2019 now, and I still haven't seen a Bitcoin machine. I thought it was pretty crazy that you actually saw one, but that was at the event that you first attended, right?
Yeah, so that's 2015, Micah. They actually opened, that was part of the conference, was them unveiling the ATM machine. And at that time, there's a big push to roll out a lot of ATM machines in select cities around the country. One was Denver as well. Yeah, so we actually got paper receipts, and I was like, what do I do with this? So I opened a Coinbase account because I needed to transfer it somewhere.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So what would you say each of your opinion on cryptocurrency was when you initially heard about it, before you had any success with investing whatsoever? And at the end of this, we'll ask you what your opinion was, after all that you've done.
That's great. So 2015, I dug into it once I went to the conference, and I understood it as a currency that was highly risky. If you read any of the analysts out there, financial analysts that we all have a high weight on in terms of value, they all said the same thing. Do not invest in it. It's highly volatile. It makes the modern day VIX look pathetic. And so I had 20 grand I could have dumped into it. Instead, I put, I think, $150 at that time, bought 8 Bitcoin because that was the price. Mm-hmm. And I just watched it. After a couple of years, I was in school, so I got kind of distracted in graduate school. And then I noticed, compared to my stock portfolio, my crypto Bitcoin had by
And you both just froze up. Can you hear me? What we've got here is failure to communicate. Some men you just can't reach. We'll be right back. Technical difficulties here. All right, guys, we're back. Sorry about that. Some internet technical difficulties. So I guess what we're going to do here is we're going to let them explain, if they don't mind, their full cryptocurrency investing experience and how that went for them.
Yeah, so I was touching on that I was buying and selling stocks with my kind of hobby money. So I had about 25 grand that I was putting into that back in 2013, 2015. I was introduced to Bitcoin through Atlanta Tech Crunch. Someone was handing out a Bitcoin flyer, so I went to the Bitcoin conference. About 40 people were there. It was held by developers, and they were unveiling the new Bitcoin ATM at the time. So this is back in 2015 in April. I didn't understand the technology, didn't understand the blockchain for the most part, and definitely didn't understand its use cases. So I bought very little of it, put $150 in, went to graduate school. 2 years later, the cryptocurrency market started to surge, and that's when I got back into it. I was aware of it. I missed the first opportunity, so I didn't want to miss the second one. So I took $25,000, and through mostly day trading in December of 2017, I got in May, but day trading in December, buying and selling the coins, jumping in and out, chasing the rumor, selling the news. I turned 25 into an all-time high of $690,000 in 1 month, and I paid off my graduate loans.
In 1 month?
In 1 month.
Damn,
which is incredible. You have no idea. You're almost afraid to talk about it now because now everybody says you're going to get hacked or something like that.
Right. Yeah, you got to be careful. I mean, you don't want to be like some of these people and go waving your information out there and then blame the blockchain.
Yeah, and so what's key about that is I wanted to share the story because the story is simple. I'm not a developer. I'm not a tech guru. I'm working insurance underwriting, my whole career for the most part. And more of a regular guy, I was able to jump in this market and have some real meaningful success that can change your life. And so we wanted to put together a book to share that experience and also give kind of some 101 of the cryptocurrency blockchain kind of market and how to get into it if you're a regular guy like we are. Now I'm not an author by any means. John and I met in graduate school. I knew he is very articulate, could write really well. He started following my trades in 2017. And so we discussed creating this book, which is currently on Amazon. John, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah. So I probably first heard about Bitcoin right around the time of the Mt. Gox hack. I thought about putting some money into it after it obviously dipped, I think down to around $100 after that whole fiasco. I read some self-professed Twitter expert that said, don't put money into don't put money into Bitcoin, don't put money into crypto. So, you're going to lose it. It's a terrible investment. I didn't do enough research. I didn't do my own research, which is one of the foundational things you need to do if you're trying to get into this market. We talk about it in the book. Don't just take someone else's word for it, even people that you trust dearly. You got to do your own research. Even if you're not a developer, there's plenty of resources online, that you can get the information that you need to make sound, good financial decisions for yourself. So, as Zach mentioned, he started talking to me about it. I noticed him getting into this market and starting to make some money early 2017. I had a couple other friends simultaneously were like, John, you got to get into this. I was more risk averse than Zach. Zach, I had to say, had a bit more foresight. He saw what was happening and took all his money from stocks, put it into crypto. I played in the stock market for a while myself. I took a little bit of money out of the stock market, but definitely not as much. I put in smaller amounts. And so my overall return wasn't as large as Zach's was. But like I say, I was watching Zach, I was seeing what was happening. I was doing the research on some of the coins that he was investing in. One thing that drew me to that market, and having a little bit of familiarity with how stocks are traded definitely helped in terms of being able to understand what was happening in crypto. The crypto markets weren't nearly as user friendly though. Back in the day, you could easily send, let's say, Bitcoin to an Ethereum address. And now a lot of the exchanges have at least some sort of checks and balances where if you try to post an address for an Ethereum wallet into a Bitcoin address, it'll give you a heads up like this isn't right. But back then, you could just simply copy and paste incorrectly, miss a character, and lose all of your money. So it was risky. the market was 24 hours a day, a global market, never closed, didn't close on Christmas. So you could wake up in the middle of the night if you couldn't sleep and turn on your laptop, and it's just pandemonium. And there was something it was fun, exciting. It still is to a large degree, the wild, wild west of the investing space. There's still a lot of forthcoming regulation. But man, back in the heyday of 2017, you were seeing just obvious scams everywhere. You were seeing pump and dump stuff that was happening, like blatantly on Twitter and Telegram. BitConnect. I was hanging out with a couple friends, and we were talking about BitConnect and how it's obviously a Ponzi scheme. And even I think it was the state of Texas that made it illegal to purchase it because it was so obviously a Ponzi scheme.
Serious?
And I remember one of my buddies, Jamie, Zach, he was like, okay, it is a Ponzi scheme, but I mean, look at the value of their token. Look how much it's increased in value. Like, we're saying it's a Ponzi scheme, but it's like, the question is, how long can this Ponzi scheme go on? Like, how long can this last? And well, he was saying like, it continues to grow. And I was like, well, at some point, someone's going to realize and everyone's going to freak out. And that was on a Sunday, and it was 2 days later that the whole thing just collapsed. So I had to call him, and I was like, hey, you remember that conversation we had? And you said, how long can this last? The correct answer was 2 days. 2 days. From that conversation.
Pretty close.
Yeah. But the thing too is, like, because it's largely unregulated, you were seeing things that if you had a little bit of knowledge about the stock market, you were seeing activity that would be incredibly illegal if you were trading on standard equities or stocks markets, but that people were just blatantly doing. Zach and my favorite game was to try to buy coins before John McAfee plugged them on his Twitter handle and they shot up. So, we did that with a couple coins, man.
We one coin comes to mind was Red Coin, right? So Red Coin, I mean, it went up obscene amounts. Can you guys hear me? Is it switched over?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. It went up like the day before I put $100,000 into it, it more than tripled because McAfee just pumped it that morning. I woke up to 3 or 4 different text messages from Scott, Abram, and John, all about the coin. I think it was right before Christmas Eve, around that time. But you get so towards the end of December, you got so used to the success, to the waking up and being up over 10 grand overnight, which was crazy. It sounds crazy. Yeah, you'll spring out of bed. You don't need coffee anymore. You don't need anything. That's all you need, right? But you get used to it. So being up, 200 grand essentially overnight, in that scenario, I follow my own strategy. I didn't sell it all and take profit and move on. Instead, you start to believe that it has even more potential to move up and up and up. And that's when the market cap started getting close to that 800 billion mark. It's around 120 billion right now. The truth is, once regulation is clarified by the government, 800 billion market cap will just be the starting point for this new market, this new global market. So a lot of people who are scared now and not investing in this market will be jumping in for fear of missing out later. And at that point, it may not be too late, but they're not going to get the returns that John and I know Micah will be getting because we're heavily invested in the space.
All right.
Which is incredible.
And something in a market this risky, there's the potential to lose a lot. And again, you never invest more than you can afford to lose. And, I could lose all of my crypto holdings tomorrow and it's not going to change my lifestyle at all. So I didn't put in anything that's like, I need this for next month's rent. But when you see what's happening and you see the potential and you see the paradigm shift in what blockchain can do for pretty much every industry in the world, yes, it's risky right now. But to Zach's point, by the time it gets not risky, by the time everyone's like, okay, this is a good idea and we're all on board, you've lost out on a lot of upside upside potential.
Huge upside potential.
And right now you can make small bets and very limited downside with huge upside potential. And so, I know we'll talk about this just with our sentiment with the market, but I'm not afraid. Still holding. And I think, like I say, as regulation is starting to get hammered out, the important thing is right now to do your own research and to even just get a little bit in the market. I tell friends, because they saw Bitcoin go all the way up to almost $20,000, and now it's down. It's tasting $4,000 right now.
Which is still crazy.
And it's still crazy. Yeah. If you invested early enough, you're still up, Can
I add to that Bitcoin? I actually read an article that shows there's sidelined $10 billion in like Tether and the coins that are backed by the US dollar or mimic it essentially. And on the sidelines waiting to jump in. So you could see Bitcoin close to double all the way to 10,000 without new money entering the market, which is astounding. So you could see Bitcoin surge very quickly without new people jumping in. Just if sentiment changes a little bit, the SEC saying that, yes, we are going to approve the ETFs in time, that caused the initial surge that we're seeing right now. But as soon as it gets clarified what ETF is approved, so you have new guidelines, it's going to jump there instantly. And then you're going to see new money from marketing efforts from institutional investors telling you to buy it, make this market just explode.
Absolutely.
Which is incredible.
Yep.
Yeah. I think, and one thing I'll add to that too is we heard towards the end of 2017 when Bitcoin was at 20,000, so many people that were saying, I should have bought when it was at 4,000. I should have bought when it was at 5,000, 6,000. Well, guess what? Here's your opportunity. Mm-hmm. But that's funny because all those same people now are like, oh, that's crashing. Obviously, like it's like the Bitcoin's done. It's like, no. So what you really mean when it was at 19,000 and you said you wished you bought at 4,000 was that you wished you had all this upside potential without having to take any risks at all. And that's what we're dealing with right now, right? People don't want to jump in because it's too risky. Everything's crashing.
Scared.
You have to be. This is Warren Buffett's. Like this was his big thing. Be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy.
Exactly.
And it seems contrarian, but you have to go against the flow. And if you understand the technology, if you understand the potential that blockchain has to change everything in the world, obviously there are going to be a lot of crashes, or there's going to be a lot of coins and tokens that go to nothing. Right? There's a ton of great ideas out there. And we talk about this. This is one of the reasons that we wrote the book. So to Zach's point, we wrote it not only to kind of tell our story, but then to give you a step-by-step guide, not only in how to purchase your first cryptocurrency, but how to vet out projects and what we look for and how to do research to find out whether projects are worth investing in. And we're not telling you what product to invest in. I know you have a caveat at the beginning of these discussions that this is not investment advice. Zach and I are not telling you specific coins to buy. We're telling you to do your own research and that there is value out there for you to find. And so, again, going back to the book, that was kind of one of the big reasons because it is such a risky market right now. But I think for those who are bold enough to take the time to learn about it, again, prior to mass adoption of, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, not that there hasn't been somewhat of that already, but there's still a lot of opportunity. We're looking at we're at around $132 billion market cap for all crypto. That's not Bitcoin, that's all crypto. If you look at, people look at Bitcoin as a commodity, kind of like digital gold. The global gold market is $7.8 trillion. And we're in, and I'm sorry, 132 trillion, right? So, or 1.32 billion, gold market is 7.8 trillion. So it's like, this is a drop in the bucket of what this market could become. And if you believe in it like we do, I think we're in for more wild rides here in the coming years.
Right. And guys, John couldn't have said it any better because, I don't know if I can say this like he said, this is not financial advice, but scared money usually doesn't make money. And there's one other person. First of all, you can't always follow the trends if you want to make money. There's one other person, he's a good friend of mine named Shane, who says almost word for word exactly what you guys are saying. And guess what? He made a small fortune in cryptocurrency, and he still is to this day. He shows me his portfolio all the time, and it's the only portfolio I see right now that's in full green. You know, I don't know how many percent he's up, but he bought Ethereum and Bitcoin way back, and he's still in the green on both of them. And this guy, he bought like 25 acres in Colombia, and he's like building his own paradise right now. I'm begging him to come on the show so we can have one of these conversations. But I mean, these are guys that have been successful, so that, I mean, in my opinion, they seem to know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and to add to that too, I think if you talk to people about the market, you're going to quickly see, Micah, that they tell you the opportunities past. And that makes me think of what John was saying earlier, but I was getting my haircut in October 2017. Bitcoin was hitting about $6,500. And I like to talk about things that I care about. And so my barber's like, don't you think that's already passed? The opportunity's gone. 6,500 is as high as it can go. That was his sentiment. That was his advice to me, unsolicited, of course. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think this is a dead market. And there's no difference between October 2017 and what is it, February 20th right now in 2019. For me, this is exactly the same. The opportunity, it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much upside potential. It's one of the easiest investments you'd ever make.
So for those of us out there, including myself, that are watching videos like this at work or, sitting at the computer, and they like to daydream, what did you guys do when you made your first major trade? I mean, did you throw a massive party, or did you keep it secret so nobody would beg you for money, or what happened?
I shared it quite a bit. I had 10 to $11 million in trade volume in December alone. There's a lot of buying and selling, a lot of different coins. I had 22 grand in fees that I paid and token and trade fees. So I had a high volume. I was sharing it with my family and then close friends. That's essentially all I did. And obviously was able to cash out enough to pay off my graduate loans, which is very, very positive. But other than that, I was not telling too many people, at all. I wasn't trying to share what I was doing.
Was there anyone?
I mean, Zach and I were crushing stogies at Highland Cigar Bar in Atlanta's Inman Park on the reg, drinking a lot of scotch. So it wasn't like a formal party per se, but I mean, we were partying. What was that, Zach? Because I remember there was one time that we went into the cigar bar.
And one time.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, because we would go in there. Zach would bring his Surface tablet. I'd bring my laptop. Like, we'd be doing trades and like looking things up while we were in there, getting blitzed. And I remember one time we were in there for maybe 2 hours, Zach, 3 hours. And how in that 2 to 3 hour period, Zach, how much did your portfolio increase in value?
So that was the beginning. So it was like the second week of December, I want to say. I'll spitball it. I had about 60,000 in crypto, and I took a fairly good bet. And who was it? It wasn't Verge. It might have been, actually. It might have been Verge. And by the time he left, and walking to our cars, I was up well over 100 grand.
Right.
So 2.5 hours.
Did you even go to work the next day? Guys, I'm done.
What's your FU money, right? So you have to get to that point.
Yeah, that's the FU money.
Unfortunately, I never got to that point yet.
You didn't take a dump on your boss's car or anything?
I don't know. I actually like my boss.
Oh, well, you're lucky then, man.
Yeah, just full caveat. Zach and I have day jobs. I'm not trying to retire. I like working. I get very bored if I'm not doing something, and that's the nice thing about this whole crypto thing. We wrote the book in our time, on weekends. I took a little bit of time off work to do it, but yeah, I'm not trying to, just quit my job and put everything into this. Again, it's all about, for me, and I like a little bit of security. It's diversification, right? I still have money in stocks. I've got money in crypto. Mm-hmm. And I think for the average person, it's probably, people that don't have a ton of savings or, need money to, pay their bills. It's not a good idea to do what we did necessarily. But what I would encourage people to do is look, depending on your financial situation, it's like, okay, don't put a ton of it, put $200 into it. You're not going to lose. If you lost $200 for a lot of people, you're not going to lose sleep. but at least have a little skin in the game.
Right.
Because then if Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency you choose to invest in, if you've done your research and it does take off, at least you get to ride that some. I mean, I think just in terms of your overall investment strategy, like why not put something into it? You know,
Right.
that's just my personal opinion.
I completely agree. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
No, you're good. I would say a lot of wise investors would tell you when people say diversify your portfolio, they automatically hear, well, I should just buy separate stocks, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But if the dollar crashes or the market crashes, you know, you're screwed. So a wise investor would probably tell you to invest in gold and silver, you know, precious artwork. I mean, cryptocurrency would probably fall into that category, you know, and as well as your stocks. But you don't want to put it all into stocks, in my opinion. Not financial advice, but just saying, you know, cryptocurrency might be one of those options for you. And I think a lot of people are kind of afraid still to jump in, but I think once it becomes more mainstream, unfortunately, it has to come to that point for a lot of people. I think we'll see a lot more acceptance in the coming year.
I think you kind of touched on it too. Understand what you're trying to accomplish, right? Are you trying to pay off a loan? Are you trying to pay off your car? What do you want this money to do for you? And understand that, and then build your strategy around it. Take the risk where it's necessary, where you can afford to, as John's pointing out. That's key, and a lot of people understand that. A lot of people don't want to. I think a lot of people just want to sit back and let someone make money for them.
Or not even invest. I mean, they got some great technology out there now with the blockchain.
It's definitely getting easier, you know. I know. Can we curse on this?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure John Weiss dropped a few F-bombs.
I'm sure he did. I know Coinbase likes to get shat upon on Twitter. And you know, if you use the pro Coinbase, you have a little more control. But at least for Coinbase, for your average person, it's so easy. You can put a credit card number in and just buy whatever dollar amount of Bitcoin you want. It's, you know, the cash in Coinbase is FDIC insured. They keep, in terms of the crypto that they keep, most of it's in cold storage. And so it's pretty secure. And the excuse now that, well, it's too complicated to invest in crypto doesn't really hold water anymore. You know, I can jump on my Coinbase. There's an iPhone app, and in 30 seconds I can purchase some Bitcoin. Like it's very easy.
Well, come on, people! They got freaking credit cards now, or debit cards with cryptocurrency on them.
Yeah,
I see them all the time on LinkedIn. I didn't mean to cut you off there. If you want to continue.
No, you're good. I'm done.
Before I forget, so I can brag on myself real quick. You mentioned Redcoin and John McAfee, I think, in the same sentence. And I've actually been talking to Redcoin about bringing them on the show. I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but they might. And actually, I work with John McAfee through one of the companies that I work for on the blockchain. So it's been a pretty crazy experience. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you any details, but they, they're going through this presidential campaign and all this stuff right now. So it's pretty intense. I'm trying to get one of the team members on here, but he's been kind of, blowing me off. I think he's afraid to talk to me unless John McAfee approves it.
Did you see his new German campaign manager? He was like the head of a German biker gang.
Really?
Now it's like the tattoo shop. Yeah. Oh, I mean, if anything, you got to give John McAfee credit for is that dude is fucking entertaining. Like I could just go through his Twitter feed and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting presidential run.
Oh, without a doubt.
You got a bunch of minions around with John McAfee masks on.
I mean, I wish I could talk to you about. I probably could, but out of respect for the team.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they tell me some pretty crazy stuff about cryptocurrency. I'm just glad to be in touch with them. Anyways, now that I'm done bragging on myself. So your success in cryptocurrency investing led you to creating your own book called the Millionaire Millennials. Is that correct? How did you all get into that?
Yeah, so that's something that John and I first started discussing in January when my assets at that time exceeded $1 million, including my digital land through Decentraland for VR space. So we started to put together the outline of the book and the information to support the trading, et cetera. And then we had a nice lunch or dinner with Tim Suggs, who also had a lot of success in cryptocurrency trading and investing. And he was also working on his own book. And so it was just a natural partnership. It just made sense. We had the opportunity to put them together and tell all of our stories in the same book. And that's essentially what happened. It took about 5 months to put together, John. 5-6 months, something like that.
Yeah, about half a year.
Yeah.
So how was that process, getting the book together, and was that a painstaking process, or was it expensive? I actually want to write my own book before I die someday, so I'm kind of curious myself about it.
Well, the nice thing about the internet and Amazon is done for book publishing. I think what the internet kind of did for music, and it's a positive and a negative thing. With a little work and a little research, really anyone who has the motivation to write and publish a book can do it. So Zach and I self-published the book. It is available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle formats. So to encourage you, it's I mean, and I can give you some pointers offline, as they say, but it's writing a book and getting it out there for people is very easy now. Now, the downside of that is that anyone with a 2-bit bullshit book idea can put it out there, and it's very easy to get lost in a sea of crap. And again, like I say, you look at music the same way, right? Now, it's not just what the record labels promote to us as that's what everyone's going to be listening to. You have access to everything. And so it's great, but it also means if you're a band trying to make it, it's much harder to get noticed above the noise, because everyone has basically unlimited free marketing potential online. So, but no, so I have an English undergraduate degree, and I've always liked to write. And Zach had talked to me about, and this was over a conversation in that cigar bar that I mentioned earlier. It was like, we had all these successes, and we were learning a lot and making a lot of mistakes, some very costly mistakes. Like, don't keep your crypto on sketchy exchanges. I learned that the hard way. With Rye blocks. I think I lost a good $5 or $6 grand when that exchange went down. That was a bummer. Yeah. So anyways, and to Zach's point, I had another mutual friend, Tim, who was actually working in the blockchain space. He had also made, it turns out, a lot of money, over $1 million in the crypto markets. And he came to me, Zach and I talked about writing a book. He came to me separately and told me that he was working on a book. And it was perfect. I introduced both of them. They were like, let's do this together. Let's collaborate. Tim had sections of his already written. Zach did a great job writing sections of his. And it was my job to I put it all together. I did a lot of editing, added some of my own stuff. And, pulling all the pieces. There was a lot of separate pieces, parts of, part story, part just data of trades that people had made, and then like pointers and tips, and it was just kind of organizing that. So the way the book turned out, we basically put Zach and Tim's story in the first part of it, and then the second half of it is kind of a how-to guide in terms of purchasing your first cryptocurrency and doing your own research to vet out crypto projects that you're interested in. It's pretty quick read. I think it's just over 100 pages, so it's definitely digestible. We're not trying to give you every nuance of trading. It's not going to give you pointers on reading charts or day trading, which a lot of that is, I won't talk too much crap on day trading, except that it doesn't work, people.
Yeah, I got my own opinion of that as well.
Yeah. To add to the book here, John did a great job. So you'll see on the cover, it says "As Told" by John. He's essentially the glue to put it all together. He makes it readable and enjoyable. So that someone actually, when they pick it up, they just don't throw it down. Instantly, they're going to finish the book and enjoy it. So that's what John did an excellent job of putting it together. So
And
Without
by,
it, we wouldn't have a book.
That's a sweet thing to say. I had to do a quick caveat too. I know there are certain day trading techniques that may have some legitimacy. So I want to crap on all day traders because I know there's something to that. But I think especially in semi-efficient markets, saying that past performance and chart reading can predict future results is inherently paradoxical if it works. And if it starts working, then it'll stop working. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, when it happens the way you predict it's going to happen, it's a miracle, or you knew what you're talking about. But when it goes the opposite direction, it was a one-off. I don't know what happened, guys.
Yeah, confirmation bias for sure.
Yeah,
a lot of the Twitter experts, they're making recommendations. Be careful, people.
It's more like a scam to me, I think, to read those things.
I think you guys are missing a good shout out here. The guy that helped you with your book, you're talking about Timothy Suggs, the previous media manager of Loki and the creator of Currency Magazine, right?
Yes.
That is correct.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that shout out if he ever watches this video.
We'll send it to him.
I've talked to him a few times. He seems like a pretty good guy.
Good. Yeah. You should. Have you had him on the show before?
No, I haven't. He actually
You should. He's got a lot of experience in the space and he's very well spoken. He'd be a good guest.
Yeah. I'm actually curious about his magazine and how it's doing. I haven't talked to him about that for a while.
I spoke to him 2 days ago. The other guy that's kind of helping like run that magazine is in like, oh God, Dubai. I don't know. He's somewhere far away. And when he comes back, and he also, there's a few other things, extraneous things that's delayed that magazine a little bit. But like I say, I'm sure he'd love to come on and talk about it.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about it. I'm supposed to get a free magazine, so I'm looking forward to that. Remind me to put a link for that, and I'm pretty sure he's probably still doing free subscriptions. I'm not sure, but I'm excited about that. Anyways, let's get back to the questions here. Has your opinion of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency changed since you first heard about it and now, and how has it changed for you, if it has?
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. So first heard about it, skeptic. Now I'm a believer, right? So I understand the real world problems it can solve and is solving currently. I look at it as the second generation of the internet. It's going to be a new way to transact business without a third party. If you understand that, the kind of freedom behind it, I mean, the sky's the limit.
No middleman.
No middleman. You don't need him.
Which is what is beautiful about blockchain.
And I would say for me, I definitely am a strong believer in Bitcoin or in blockchain technology. I think if anything, if the last year has taught us, there's a lot of good ideas out there, and just having a good idea is not enough. You have to have the team to be able to implement it, and the marketing and sales know-how to get users. And I think that's where we are with a lot of these projects, especially the smaller cap projects. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? You sold us on the idea, and now it's about building a viable, functioning product and getting the user base that that was advertised or that was theorized based on the magnitude of the project itself. So I think we're going to see, personally, I think we're going to see, I'm still a believer in the blockchain space as a whole. I think as time goes on and people's ICO funds start dwindling a bit, we're going to see some of these coins that are all talk and no walk start dropping off. But that hopefully means that money will be poured into the more viable, substantial products and projects that will be able to ride out this bear market that we're in right now.
Right. Actually, I think I wrote an article on my website called Crypto Cleansing 2019 or something. Crypto Cleanse, I can't remember. But a lot of people are hoping that's what's going to happen right now, or in 2018. I think a lot of it did happen, where we saw these projects where, just crackpot wanted your money. That we're going to see them flushed out, hopefully, and the serious projects are going to stay behind. What would you say? Did you have anything to add there?
I actually definitely want to add to that. It's interesting. we saw more ICOs in 2018 than we did in 2017.
Really?
But keep that in mind. So the first half of the year was just a flood of ICOs. At least that's what I read online through different articles. So if that is true, even though you are seeing a lot of failures out there, and like John's saying, a need for them to perform, you're not going to see that sanitizing effect until the regulation comes in and clearly says what is the security and what's not, and what's a commodity, because that is what's stopping the current investing in the existing ICOs out there, or at least the existing tokens out there. So you need that type of sanitation from the SEC regulation, and then that way you can find the compliant coins,
Right.
and then the money is going to flood to them, because the space is still intriguing and the technology is proven in the past 10 years, right? So now everybody wants to be on the next Amazon or be on the next Apple. Everybody's going to be pouring money looking for that one-off huge hit. So yeah, next couple of months are going to be pretty key for the turnaround bullish market.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking forward to it because, to be honest, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say it. I work for a company called Flype, which we're doing pretty successfully right now. I don't know if you've ever heard of them because we haven't really gone mainstream with it yet. Basically, we provide a quicker service for international delivery through the blockchain. Kind of what Uber did, I guess. But we saw the issues with raising funds, but I mean it's successful now, but there is some doubt with when you see projects like BitConnect, people you can kind of see they're holding back a little bit. So I'm not going to say we should have regulation, but there should be something, I feel, because these projects like Flype, they need the good spotlight instead of the negative energy that we're getting from some of these projects out there.
Yeah, so look at the dot-coms in the 90s. You had a surge in the early 90s, and then you had 94 decline for that entire year, and regulation was the driving force there. They wanted to essentially put them in the IPO status. Once that clarified, it led to a 4 to 5 year bull run that led to $1.5 trillion in money entering the dot-com space until the bubble burst. So keep that in mind. Regulation, everybody's saying it's a bad thing. What it will do is reassure future investors that it's okay to put their money in the space. And it will cause a huge bull run in an emerging market, not a mature market. And it's going to lead it to a mature market. So every time you have an analyst comparing crypto space to stock space, you're comparing an emerging market to a mature market. What works in a mature market does not work in an emerging market. So keep that in mind. They're completely different. So the analysis doesn't apply.
Right. I agree.
I wanted to throw something in here real quick, just as we're talking about mass adoption of crypto. I just got this notification on my phone. So Samsung just announced their Galaxy S10. Mm-hmm. And in the Samsung official newsroom announcement, the Galaxy S10 is going to come with secure storage backed by hardware, which houses your private keys for blockchain-enabled mobile services.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And that's in the official announcement that just came out.
So
we're talking about mass adoption. If phone companies are starting to include as part of the hardware, private key storage, like I'm saying, we're just getting started here, folks.
You heard it first here, guys.
Yeah. So think about it. So Fidelity hit the watchdog list on the lobby side for DC because they put so much money lobbying for cryptocurrency technologies last year that they're on the watchdog list. We know through what we've heard from some sources that the OTC markets have been translating large sums of tens of billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin to institutional investors. That's your banks. So that's the transfer of wealth last year, because you can do it if you drive down the price. So pretty soon people are going to be buying Bitcoin in their 401k, which is incredible. They're going to allocate and move on. And that's where you're going to see an initial surge in that actual currency and the trickle down effect to the altcoins. And the altcoins are value. You're going to chase value as you go down that rabbit hole. So that's what's going to happen. I mean, buying now is the only time to get in.
And yeah, that's exactly what I was about to get at. In my opinion, not financial advice, obviously, but once this happens, guys, once these major corporations, entities start getting involved, it's going to be like opening the floodgates. They're all going to jump in at once. I mean, some of them will catch on, down the road, but it's not just going to be a little bit here and there's going to be a sign that pops up and says, hey, you should buy cryptocurrency now. It's going to be too late, by the time your cousins and uncles are telling you to get in.
Yeah, as soon as people stop telling you to get out of the market, that's when it's going to be too late. And so, but that being said, you're right. Take it with a grain of salt. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen. But when it does happen, it's gonna move fast.
Right. So I don't want to hold you guys up all night. I got a couple more questions here, and then we can call it an interview. So just real quick, what do you guys expect out of this technology in the coming years? I think you touched on it a couple times here, but as far as, are we going to see a decentralized internet? They just got rid of net neutrality and all that craziness. Are we going to become dependent on cryptocurrency in some areas maybe? I mean, I know there's a lot of rumors about the, financial or dollar correction, I guess is what people are calling it. Maybe a dollar collapse. Just your opinion on what do you think we should be looking for in the coming years?
Yeah, so I would say you're going to see some cryptocurrencies as some of the major currencies in the world, right? So eventually you're going to see, I don't know if it'll be Bitcoin or whichever one rises from that, but you're going to see a handful mixed into the traditional currencies across the world and being traded and treated the same. I mean, I'm not going to speak to a collapse of the US dollar because that's one of those topics that's kind of impossible to predict. But the currency piece, they'll be part of the world economies, and then the blockchain itself. Eventually, you're not even going to realize a company or a service is utilizing it. It's going to be in the background. It's going to be so easy to use, like apps are today, that the average consumer won't be talking about blockchain and won't be talking about cryptocurrencies. It's just going to be part of their life, and that's going to be 5 to 10 years from now. And that's the real adoption. That's the real future of the technology. It's just like the internet was so difficult in the 90s. The .coms were difficult in the 90s, and now the apps are so simple. It's the same thing. Cryptocurrency is difficult now. 10 years from now, it's going to be everywhere, and you won't even know it.
Right. John, do you have anything to add to that, maybe?
No, not really. I think I agree. I think it's going to be so intertwined with our daily lives, and you'll probably be using a lot of blockchain services and not even realize it as, corporations start integrating blockchain into their business models. The JP Morgan announcement the other day is a great example of that. To start using blockchain the technology to do faster transactions, to make things safer, more secure. I think again, this technology has the potential just to change how we do pretty much everything on a corporate level. And then, like I was saying before, the ability now to be able to transfer wealth to someone else on the other side of the world, the same as if I was standing in front of them, handing them cash without a third-party intermediary, either regulating that transaction or taking a piece of it. I think that has the potential to change the world.
Right.
And really quick, I just thought of this, Mike, and I want to share it. If you think about it, in 2015, if someone told you that JP Morgan would come out with their own cryptocurrency, mm-hmm. I mean, no one would believe you. That sounds absurd, right? They were the biggest competitors to the space and antagonists, really. So it's astounding. I mean, we're accepting it now. We don't think twice about it because it's grown to where it's at, which leads to the next 10 years. It'll be just everywhere. So yeah, just think of it that way. Go back 3 years and no one would believe what we're hearing today.
Right.
I think it's impossible.
So do you guys yourselves have any more plans involving blockchain? Or are you going to write another book? Are you going to make a McAfee video about your success? Or
Zach's running for president, right?
The second book will be my retirement from whatever, the 9 to 5, which I really don't work that anyways, but retirement from meetings.
Will you land a Lamborghini on the moon in
Oh
2019?
God, no. Oh God, no. I would never do that. I would rather give it to a charity or something.
You can tell me the real answer off the camera if you want.
Yeah.
It'd be called the Billionaire Boomers.
Yeah, Billionaire Boomers. There you go. That sounds like a good title. So, your book can be purchased on Amazon, and it is called The Millionaire Millennials, right?
It is.
Hmm.
If we can link it to in the description of this video, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll do that for sure.
You can follow Zach and myself on Instagram and Twitter. It's at MMS Crypto.
Okay. Yeah, I will put a link to all of those things if you guys want to provide them to me after this.
Certainly.
Yeah, that's that sheet I sent you, Micah. That Word doc. Let me know if you got it.
Okay, cool.
It has all that information on there.
I'll do that. So, closing statement, I guess. What would you say to someone getting involved with crypto and blockchain right now, whether that be investing or just getting a job in the blockchain space? You know, I know a couple people that are actually getting jobs right now, and they're worried whether blockchain is going to be here in a year or two. What would your advice to them be as far as getting involved in general?
Yeah, my opinion is I missed out in 2015. I didn't miss out in 2017. Whoever I'm speaking to, I'm assuming missed out in 2017, so don't miss out in 2019. Invest, buy, get into it, embrace it, love it, live it, learn it.
I love it's like, this is not investing advice. Invest.
Right.
He's not telling you what to invest in.
Well,
Just expose yourself.
Besides Loki, LOCI.
I was gonna. Oh man, I was wondering if you were gonna.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite project, and I'm actually gonna give it a shout out to you on the X Radio as well.
Yeah, if you could invest in any altcoin right now, Loki, what would it be, Loki?
Oh, so what's beautiful about that? I could talk about the Loki all day, but what's beautiful about the company? It's a real company. It has actual products. It has the blockchain that actually makes sense for its operations and its services. But lastly, the best part about it is they're trying to create a new space, a new way to patent, sell ideas and IP, right? And they're trying to make a market for everybody that's currently controlled by corporations, by the wealthy. They're trying to make the average day, maybe student, have an idea and capitalize on it. It's beautiful. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of hard work, but that is what you should be looking for when you're looking at these projects.
No, they're doing some good stuff over there, and they have an actual team that's actually working every day, and they're showing you what they're doing. I really like their project, which is why I stay involved.
I'll say for my closing statement, you asked about how, people trying to get jobs in blockchain, for people that are interested in being more involved. I would say there's so much opportunity right now to put yourself in a position where that could end up in an actual paid salaried position. I can talk about Tim wrote about this in his book. He got involved with blockchain and these blockchain companies simply by being involved, being vocal, learning about the projects, joining the Telegrams, being active on Telegram, and Slack, answering people's questions, showing up at conferences and just networking, meeting people. And he ended up starting a career in crypto just by volunteering. And he was doing this, in his spare time. Zach and I recently went to TAB conference here in Atlanta, which is a crypto conference. I think it's the second one that they've done. And one of the speakers was commenting that even though, and actually the attendance at this particular conference has actually grown year over year, which is pretty impressive. But just that the crypto conferences that you go to now are versus the ones in, mid 2017 to early 2018, much less euphoric. And you don't have a bunch of people that have just made a quick buck and are there tooting their horns and running around and, popping champagne. The people that are at these conferences now are the ones that are in it for the long haul and are really trying to build something and change the world and change, America. And I think right now is the perfect time because crypto's been established. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. We've seen the potential of blockchain. Samsung's making segregated hardware to store your private keys on their new phones. But you can go to these conferences now and meet some really incredible people that are not just there for the fluff of it, that are really, like I say, building what is going to be the future. So I think now is a perfect time to involve yourself in every way possible. And yeah, find good projects and see what happens.
All right. Yeah, one of the teams I actually work for, Bridge Protocol, they went to the Neo DevCon, I think is what it was called. And they were saying the same thing. Basically, everyone that was there was serious. It wasn't all the hype and like crazy, half-dressed women dancing around and stuff.
Yeah.
It's more like a serious atmosphere now.
Yeah, and there's been what I call in crypto a fuckboy cleansing. I think that's happened in this last bear market. And the people that are still there are the real ones, So
it's funny you bring that up. So I actually had some Ant shares before they rebranded to Neo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you hang on to them?
So I did. That's it. Well, you got to read the book. I'll tell you all about it.
Okay.
Nice.
It's actually, there's quite a nice page dedicated to Neo.
That was a good note to end on right there. You guys, you got to read the book if you want to know about the Ant shares and how that went.
Mm-hmm.
Cliffhanger.
Yep. Well, all right, guys. It's been great talking to you. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks, Micah.
Not a problem.